Hi everyone, I'm Christina from Milan's Fabrics and Sewing Centre in Adelaide, South Australia. It is my pleasure to present you with the Creative Icon 2. We heard about this machine about a year and a half ago through social media and everything. It's been a long time waiting to receive this machine, but it's finally here and we are so excited to show you what it has to offer. So the Creative Icon 2 arrived at our store in early March 2022, and when we put our pre-orders in, we had a choice of colour. So as you can see, we chose the winter white version, and you also received this plaque. There are two other limited edition colours. I have winter white, there's also a dusk fabric, and the Northern Lights. Otherwise, the machine will be available always in Purple Aurora. So in this video, I plan to show you what we saw when we unboxed the machines, and we're also going to jump into the projector. I'll just quickly explain the noticeable differences between the Icon 2 and the first version Icon. So the first part is it's a little bit bigger up in the head here, and I assume that's for this projector technology. And the buttons are also square instead of round. Another noticeable difference is that we have the categories displayed up here on the lid, whereas on the first version Icon, there were no categories displayed. All your additional PFAFF feet will fit this model as well. Your extension table will not fit this model. They do require exclusive extension tables, and they also have different bobbins. So the Icon series bobbins are a little bit bigger than the purple bobbins that you're used to in your sensations, your visions, and your expression ranges. All right, well, I guess now we can jump into the content. The warranty, the user guide, the embroidery collection. The foot pedal. It's fancy. That's not the foot pedal. That's the power supply.
That's the power supply. That's the foot pedal.
Wow, well this is fancy because we've never had one of these before. What? What? Oh wow! Oh, that is so pretty.
It's the plaque that you can put on something.
So where do we put it? What do we do with it? Oh, it's gorgeous.
There it is.
It looks bigger.
That looks bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah. Is it bigger?
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that shiny.
That's pretty cool. Just plops it on the floor.
It's not bigger.
Whoa.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ta-da!
Look at the lights. Once the machine was turned on, it was asking prompts similar to what your iPhone does when first purchased. After I was able to get past the setup, I had a bit of a play with the screen layout and screen personalization. The whole interface is very similar to the Creative Icon, which is what makes it a smooth transition if upgrading. The thing that I am extremely excited about is the Icon 2 displays the time. Now I know when it's 3 AM. And of course, Bernadette had a little play. Time to play with the projector. I have popped on my open toe foot so I can see my fancy stitch patterns. You can turn the projector on by using the button on the machine or through your touchscreen like I did. There are so many settings you can change. You can change the colour of the background, which I tried to do here, changing it to yellow, but it looks best without the background colours selected for this white fabric sample. Also, the projector doesn't flicker like it did in this video, it's just the camera not capturing it properly. The brightness of the whole display is adjustable, and you can also change the size of your grid. This can be useful if you are doing quilting lines. The grid color is also adjustable. The grid can be moved in small increments horizontally, and the angles can be changed as well. You have the choice of showing a second stitch reference line, which I found useful to set the seam allowance distance from your needle, such as 1/4 of an inch for piecing or even 5/8 of an inch for dressmaking. The line thickness is also adjustable for a clearer display. Now I am having some fun viewing the stitches under the projector. This is extremely useful for additioning fancy stitches before they are sewn. It helps envision stitches you wouldn't have even thought to use. It is especially great for maxi stitches because you can now see how they will fit in this space when you sew them in. And the grid will keep the alignment straight on the fabric. I thought this was cool too. You can now see your monogram letters before they are stitched out, which I always struggle to guess the size and placement of these. Even when stitching out fonts, you can see them in the projection before they are stitched out, which is great for size reference. Fonts are fun to use for quilt labels and other personalisation on your projects. Amazingly enough, we can see the dimensions of the stitch change in real life. This would be great for applique stitching, as you can make the stitch the correct proportion for your project. Keep in mind, the stitch projection disappears when your foot control is engaged, but the grid will remain on. Now I am using the projection of a secondary stitch guide as a 1/4 inch reference line. Something that could have made this easier would be to turn the grid off but leave the reference line on. Other than that, it was a good alternative to a 1/4 inch foot. I have fused some stabilizer to the back of my sample piece for these fancy stitches to work nicely. I thought the arrow stitch would be fun to use as a little embellishment. Here I am moving the second reference line over to line up with the raw edge of the arrow stitch. Then I lined this reference with the seam. I used the same technique to line up this scallop stitch. I preferred this finish over the arrow stitch. I had to use tearaway stabilizer under the sample for this one, as this stitch is dense. Next, maxi stitches. You can't hear it, but on the original recording I did a little squeal because I was so excited. Took me a while to choose a maxi stitch I thought would be nice to stitch down this makeshift sashing. Maxi stitches work well for smaller projects as opposed to big quilts because the fabric will move around a lot. So placemats, table runners, sashings, before they go into quilts and even garments would look great with these kinds of stitches. Previously, we had to draw a straight line down the center of the project to help keep the maxi stitches aligned. However, with the grid, I was able to keep everything parallel, so the stitch came out super straight. Now I am playing around with using the grid to stitch quilting lines. I set my grid to 25mm or 1 inch spacing. This was very quick and easy. I had to use my sew line pen every time I turned to mark where to stop and turn for the next stitching line. This was easy to do thanks to the projector. I really hope you find this video useful, and to be honest, if you're thinking of purchasing any icon, whether it be the first version or the second version, you will not be disappointed. They are both beautiful machines.